Hey guys, GHAZZY TV here with another Path of Exile video. We have finally read through the 3.14 patch notes, and oh my fucking god. That's basically what I have to say. Instead of reading through the entire patch notes, I will instead make a quick recap of the things that stood out the most for me. I would obviously love to hear you guys' opinions in the comment sections below, what you guys feel about the patch notes. And in the coming days, before leading up to 3.14, I will be making some videos with league starter suggestions. I have been updating all my build guides, will be updating all my build guides before 3.14, and I will also be making a lot of new builds. So there's going to be a lot of content coming out here on this YouTube channel. And you can also check out my crafting guides, which is in there to introduce people to how to craft basic one-on-one items, as well as advanced specific target crafting. So all of those links will be in the descriptions below. So to talk about the patch notes recap, it was a lot of information here. Lots and lots and lots of information. So I'm going to pick out some of the stuffs that I found rather important to talk about. And, if you guys feel like I should have mentioned something else, let me know in the comments below. So to start off, the Betrayal Changes is absolutely insane. Let's see if we can go to it. Betrayal Encounters. Betrayal Changes. This portion right here is crazy. The modifiers that are unveiled through June are now more powerful than before, and they weren't kidding. They're absolutely insane, and this goes hand in hand with how insane essences are. So basically, there's a lot of ways for us to farm the target farm betrayals, and I think that there's a lot of things you can do with defend depending on which type of aspect of endgame you want to focus on when you get to the actual endgame, which seems to be what GGG is steering us into for us to choose one or more different kind of league mechanics that we emphasize our endgame focus on. And I think it's a really cool system, so I'm very happy about the changes. It seems to be very fun to play it, despite some of the other changes that I don't agree with. But Betrayal seems overpowered as fuck. The weighting of the veil modifiers have been rebalanced in a way that makes modifiers exclusive to one or two types of equipment more common. So, for example, if you are doing the Veiled Chaos Orbs, or if you're finding a weapon with good modifiers and a Veiled modifier on it, there's actually a high probability that that weapon will have a weapon-related modifier because it's more common on that specific weapon, for example, which allows us to more target, well, not target farming or so, but more deterministically actually end up with Veiled modifiers that we'll actually end up still using. But the most important part, now, the modifier being unveiled no longer counts as a crafted modifier and will be stronger than any crafted veiled modifier. What this means is that when you unveil an item, you can still benchcraft another modifier on it as well. This also increases the attractiveness of Aisling on research of the betrayal encounters or safe houses because she can put unveiled modifiers on your fucking items. It's just so fucking brutal. It's crazy. Oh man, I'm fucking hyped about this. You kind of, for the most part, you kind of want to unveil items to get the crafts either way. So no matter how you start the league, if you're planning to play for a long time, like most of us streamers are doing, it is actually rather good to focus on betrayal till you have the crafts you want and then move over and change it to something else. So I think a lot of people will actually be experiencing this, and I think it's going to be absolutely insane. A few things when it comes to builds that is going to be mentioned when it comes to league starter builds. I know a lot of people are waiting for me to make a statement about specters. There has been very little things that affected specters. It was a frostbomb nerf, which was barely noticeable for us, and a trigger cooldown, which is barely noticeable for us either. So yes, specters are more than fine, which brings me to carrion golems. Carrion golems got hurt a little bit, and when I say a little bit, I really do mean a little bit. They got the Cascade, has a shorter distance as well as a slightly longer cooldown, and just approximately 11% less damage across the board. You can still do Stone Golems, you can still do the other Golems, but I still believe that Carrion Golems will be the top dog for the Carrion Golem builds. The biggest nerf to the Carrion Golem builds is actually the aura stacking nerfs that we hit or got hit from when it comes to the different cluster jewels like the stalwarts, the replenishing presence, and the other cluster jewels. I don't remember all the names now by heart. Which got hurt by about 2% less effectiveness, which is more of an aura stacking nerf, but that does indirectly affect the Carrion Golem popular build that people have been playing during well. Besides that, I'm actually very happy with it. I think that Karen Golem is going to be more than fine to play, and I think it's going to be very popular to see in the 3.14 league. Other builds that are really good for league starting that I don't think that hasn't been really touched at all is ED Contagion Bane. More than fine to play with, and you can still do the bow strat if you want to, or just go for staff these days. But the ED Contagion ability itself will still be the top dog to be played with when it comes to league starting. It's going to be one of the most popular league starts since the build was released. I've had a guide up for about 60 years in the community, and every league for the past 6 years I have promoted it to be a very strong league starter build, and that's what I'll do this time as well. So you can expect that in a video in the coming days. Next part is actually the 250 radius units. Was it? There. The Bestiary Changes with the party members are not that are not the map creator now require to be within 250 radius, which is about 2 screens, to be capturing the beast. Now this will prevent the multi-boxers, which was a big issue during this league, and we're in a situation where this is getting pseudo fixed. When I say pseudo, it prevents most people from doing it, but you can still play builds with reverse knockbacks and not able to do killing blows to basically run around and vacuum the entire map and bring them to your multi-box accounts and then kill them. I think it fixes the issue for the most part, but it's hard for them to do any other fix. I'm sure we'll have people that will go out of their way to do this, but it's going to require a lot of investment, and it's going to be much more annoying to do this than it was in the past. So I'm not sure if it is going to stop it entirely, but worst case scenario, it stops it for the most part. Another build that we talked about was actually Blade Blast. Blade Blast got some significant nerfs, pretty extensive. Added damage effectiveness got hit by 10%, and the baseline damage by about, 25% drop in damage or something like that, which is quite significant. However, I have mostly been focused with my build guide, as well as the one I played was the Poison version. And honestly, it was doing such an obnoxious amount of damage that these nerfs just puts the build of more of an all-right state. It will still be perfectly fine to play. It will still be perfectly fine to league start with. It just won't be as overpowered as it used to be. See what my other notes are. Right. Toxic Rain is another one. Toxic Rain, the changes to Toxic Rain was not as extensive as I thought it would be. So Toxic Rain will still be perfectly fine to play as self-cast as well as minor builds, and will work very well as a league starter just as before. So if you were planning to playing a Toxic Rain build, you were more than fine to do that as well. Next in my notes, we had the Vol Ground Slam, which looks insane. So this attack can now be exerted as though it was not the Vol skill. 250% base attack damage at level 1 from 190, 400 up from 300 at level 20, and stores up to 4 uses with a soul gain prevention of 1 second. The Vol Ground Slam actually feels absolutely fucking disgusting. And that's the same thing with Vol Ice Nova. The damage increase from 26 top end cold damage from 17, or at level 2762 compared to 428, is an insane fucking buff. They've, on top of this, increased the cast time to make it faster, or lower the cast time to make it faster, and had the damage effectiveness almost doubled, and has 2 stored uses and half the soul gain prevention. It wouldn't surprise me if we saw people doing some target farming for certain mechanics using Vol Ice Nova, because it's looking fucking juicy. The other notes I had was aura effects from things like Stalwart Commander, with the Determination, Discipline, Grace has been hit by 15%. You know, when these Cluster Jewels was introduced to the game, they had an effect of 30%. Same thing with Vengeful Commander was 30%. And they nerfed this down to 20. Now they're nerfing it with an additional 5%. We're down to half of their original introduction skill power level. This mainly hurts aura stackers and aura bots. Now, aura bots are more than fine because they have been able to perform insanely and provide stupid amounts of power, both on offense and defense. So I'm not a big, I don't think I'm very concerned when it comes to the aura bot sections, but aura stackers will have a bit harder time to go through everything. definitely hurting our stackers quite a lot. It will still be perfectly fine to play with, but I still believe that this was a very needed nerf. Other nerfs that we've seen have generally been modifiers and items. It hasn't been many skill nerfs, but mostly has been modifiers across the board, like the elder mods for bleed and poison has been removed with the double damage approach. So there's been a lot of general damage nerfs across the board for a lot of cluster jewels, as well as mainly for cluster jewels, we're using bills and some modifiers, and also the removal of spell damage builds focusing on bows for these things as well. So I think that they're just basically drawing off a pretty significant nerf across the board for a lot of different builds that have been overperforming, and I think that that's a fair take to do it. Then they've approached this in a very cool way rather than just nerfing the abilities by 5%. I have two more notes on my little recap. The first one is pause, here it is. So for Detonate Dead builds got hurt by the change of this approach when it comes to the lower HP. The thing is, a lot of people have been saying that Detonate Dead builds is going to be shit without this, and that is not true. They gained a stupid amount of damage for specific fights where there weren't any other corpses, where they would only spawn their own desecrated specters as corpses to gain even more damage. I don't think this is a problem. Detonate Dead has been a really good build, and it will still be a very, very good build. It will still be it will still perform very well when it comes to these areas or these specific bosses where they could abuse this mechanic where their specters were the only corpses available. So I'm not very concerned about it. I think that they're very fine. They've also removed Allies Cannot Die, which is a godsend. Holy shit, this has been asked for so long, and they've have a little bit of a different approach to it, which seems to be better. We'll see how that works out in the game as well. And last but not least, we have Sana map, Sana something. There we go. Sana League mods available. We have 14 Favors to Brave at 3 chaos cost, but they have added Harvest for 12 chaos. You get Harvest. You can actually guarantee Harvest on every single map you're doing, and this should be affected by the Atlas passive tree, unlike when you get a Sana map mission from Sana. The Atlas tree passives don't affect Sana missions, but they will affect these because these are applied on the map itself that you're opening up through the map device. So yeah, I have a ton of crafting guides. Hope you'll have use of them, because with this easy access to Harvest, it will be very interesting to see the actual cost of these crafts that becomes available on things like the Forbidden Trove Discord server. But it also means that for Soul Self-Found, to some degree, because it's still 12 chaos, but for the casual players, have the possibility to actually get their harvests consistently when they're playing, as long as they can afford popping it out for 12C. I'm actually very hyped about this, but this is my little recap of the patch notes with the things that I thought was most pressing that I wanted to bring up to the table. I suggest you read the patch notes, which will also be linked in the descriptions below. Hit the like button, subscribe for more comments, and I will subscribe for more comments, for content. But I will read through every single comment in the sections below. So let me know what you guys feel about it, or if you have any questions. And yeah, see you in the next video. Till then, stay safe. Rock.